Welcome to the Altura podcast. I'm Adrian Huerta, one part of Altura, 1/4, 25% of Altura. Here with the other 75%. We have Diego Guerrero, John Acevedo, and Eduardo Gomez. We currently have an exhibit called Beauty and Fear, curated by Summer Bernal. Sweetheart, amazing human, and she put together an amazing group of artists, and we're super privileged to have her bring these artists in. We have 66% of those artists. Is that right? Is that good math?
That's good math.
Is that good math? All right, cool. No. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please introduce yourself and your art and craft and how you like to be labeled.
My name is Viktor Rosas, and I'm a printmaker.
My name is Pavel Acevedo, and I'm a printmaker as well.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through. For the people listening, if you hear raccoons or planes or cars or babies crying, we're in my backyard. So I appreciate the guys coming through. I appreciate Victor and Pavel for making the time to come through and finding parking, because it's nicer out here than it is in Altura. So anybody that's been to Altura, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming to get sweaty with us. We really appreciate that. But it's a little fresher out here. How are we doing weather-wise? Are we good, guys?
Yeah, it's really nice.
Nice and
beautiful.
Quiet. Nice. Thank you.
Beautiful night.
Thank you. My baby built this house. So we're good. No, I'm just like, no. Guys, please, can you give us, how you came about being at Altura? I know it's through Summer Bernal, but how did that process happen?
Well, she just came to the studio, and then she invited me to be part of the show. And then she explained me the concept, and then from that I started working on some of the pieces for the show.
Yeah, I was in the same situation. She mentioned it about having this 3-person like show, and she was like, I think you'll be a good fit. And yeah, just like talking about like a little bit about Altura, and yeah, I was like, yeah, for sure, let's do it.
Are you guys both based out of LA right now?
Yeah.
Well, you told me you're doing a studio or a residency currently?
No, right now I finished the residency on February in Soulful Graphics.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was doing a residency right now. But no, right now, no residencies coming for a little bit.
Victor, you have your studio here in Los Angeles, or?
No, I live in Soulful Graphics.
Oh, okay.
I have the studio there.
Okay. No, that's a great space.
Yeah.
Self-help graphics, it's a staple.
Yeah.
So the show's called Beauty and Fear. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe how some of those themes are a part of your work? I'm sure you had the conversation with Summer about what her vision, but I'm also sure she saw some of that in your work, and I think there's some present themes there. Can you guys each talk maybe a little bit about some of that and how you think you fit into that concept as far as with what you're showing at the current show and also just your work in general?
Well, I think the concept of beauty and fear is always like it's a backbone in visual arts, and that's always like you always like kind of like coqueteas con esos temas siempre que estás produciendo trabajo. So to me it was like something that is always like a borderline, and it's always like an inspiration, even like when you're like thinking about to work on a concept, and even to bring it with like your materials into like bring it in an actual image. So yeah, it was like it was cool when Summer brought the idea of having those two concepts, and it was a way to like revisit some other work that I done before. So I was like, yeah, it's always good to like just go to like a raw like concept into like visual arts.
I think a lot of my work is a little bit dark, and it has to do a lot of human behavior. So I think the concept kind of fit in, And one of the things that we see in fear, for example, is that it creates a lot of problems in humans. And in the same way, it seems like instead of seeing beauty, seems that we have concepts about it. And then we have likes and dislikes, that kind of stuff. So it was very interesting, though, to kind of explore it a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it sort of it touches on the duality of kind of like what you said, the human experience of it's, there's so many conflicting, things and concepts and ideas that we sort of live with, and it's really beautiful to see sort of how you all express that in your work. What do you think about sort of how printmaking fits into that concept? From my own experience, I see printmaking not only as a beautiful art form, but also a very technical art form. So it's that there's also a sort of duality in printmaking from my perspective. Do you see that yourself? How do you experience it in that sense?
Printmaking is really interesting, though, because you create an image, but the image also can repeat itself, and also it can go in different places too. But also, like when you think, for example, when you meet someone, they give you the first impression, right? And then from that impression, somebody else asks you about that person, then you pass that impression to the person, Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes like that, which is really interesting, no?
Yeah.
And also the part of experimentation too. I really like textures to kind of create depth into the pieces. So I can explore a lot of techniques to be able to create that and be able to create sort of like a feeling into it,
Now you're both printmakers. What techniques are you guys mostly using? I know you got you told me you use linoleum or woodcuts mostly, both of you.
I like to mix everything.
Yeah. The way that I approach it, like printmaking, especially in like relief print, like linoleum or like woodblock, is like to try to like expand the textures and the aesthetic into other mediums like painting, or like even like to explore other like surfaces besides like paper. And two is like the way to like even like question about like to like make a duplicate about of one original, or like, I would see like how far I can just like go with the same technique, and even to like as a education to because there's a lot of different ways that you can approach it, because it's not the same way that you can do like an edition of one plate, then just like approaching the technique to a teaching person, to teach with somebody or to share in a workshop. It's like it's a different medium, and people gets excited with that. So that's the awesome part about like printmaking. Like it's a shapeshifter to me. That's what it is.
Now, Victor, you said that you like to mix different mediums. What are some of those or techniques that you like to mix, or all the different ones that you kind of play with?
I use plastics. I use paper. I use cardboard. I use techniques that has to do with sort of like lithograph, but using photocopies.
Like photo transfers?
Yeah. But also you can draw on a cardboard with something that has oil on it, and then it becomes a plate. I use woodcuts.
Like a grease marker?
Yeah.
Like a China marker?
Yeah. I use fabrics. I use anything. Print with flowers.
Chincolé as well. I mean, I'm sure you guys.
Chincolé, yeah. You have different things.
Can you guys tell us a little bit about your first experiences with printmaking? What were some of the first times where you realized, oh, this is an avenue for expression, a piece of art? What were some of your first experiences with it?
I think for me it was like the way to hang out and like the way to learn without having como una escuela, because cuando empecé a hacer printmaking, it was like self-taught, so there wasn't like basically like the idea of like having a teacher. It was like somebody in a group like of friends, they knew a little bit more about it, so we were sharing like the technique by just like doing it and just like watching and learning. So that's how it was to me, and it was like era más cómodo como poderte equivocar, and it was like you just like made a mistake, so I mean whatever. And that's how it started everything. Later on when I went to school, it was a little bit more like kind of rigid, because you have to like develop a technique, be like there's like a teacher, so there's an eyes that you have to be in that structure. Until later on it was more like, okay, I went back into my own terms and I felt, okay, this is better to me. So have like all these like moments, I kind of experience it. So that's when I feel like, okay, this is cool to me, because now I have those two experiences about like learning, and I feel like I can just like meet other like folks and other like printmakers, and develop like different like ways how to approach it.
Victor, you want to weigh in on some of your first experiences with printmaking?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I didn't went to art school, so I kind of learn mostly by making mistakes. And then it's very interesting because I kind of discover new things, just by making those mistakes. And it's I really love my mistakes. I want to replicate them sometimes, because of also great textures. So also you learn about different types of ink, and then when you make those mistakes, you learn the inks actually can produce something interesting, And so, that's the greatest thing about it.
I think learning from mistakes is like one of the best ways to learn, you know, because as an artist, you can't be afraid of failure. You're going to fail, you're going to get up, you're going to fall, you're going to get up. And, a lot of times when, like you're saying, you learn from making a lot of mistakes, like that's such a great thing, because, you're learning other things. And now you're saying that you're trying to recreate them. Like that's one of the things for me that it took me some time to kind of learn how to embrace my mistakes and kind of like play with making mistakes a little more. And that's very interesting that you bring that up. But
they're beautiful.
That's the best way to learn. Yeah. I also had a question about you guys as printmakers. How do you guys feel as printmakers how the art community is representing printmakers? Do you guys feel that it's underrepresented? Do you guys feel that there should be, more printmaking out there? Do you feel like, because there's a hierarchy in the art world, right? Between like painting and like sculpture and, how do you guys feel about that? Where do you guys like stand on printmaking and the way it's kind of like viewed in the art world?
It's a little bit complex though. It depends. I mean, printmaking seems like it's a little bit cheaper because you can reproduce them, and a painting is just one, so it's more expensive. And it seems like a lot of galleries want paintings and sculptures, But and also right now, I guess a lot of schools are closing down that department. I think also depends what type of image you produce, because sometimes your images that produce is a little bit not happy images, so it's a little bit hard to sell them.
I think it's you can, if you find your niche in printmaking, I think you will be like cool with it, because I don't know, when you meet printmakers, they're kind of chill. They're like they're always like willing to share like anything that they learn, and tricks or like mistakes or talk about it, That's why I like run into it. And there's always like these printmakers. A lot of them you can like meet. They just start doing it by just hanging out, by just because they like a cover or an album, and they're like, how you did it? Oh, it's screen print, and that's how they went, So I think it's more like more like a relax, like to me, but there's still like some kind of hierarchies you can see there. But it's other than I don't have much experience about like painters or sculptures, but it's still like a place that you can see like a printmaker doing like a kind of like additional with higher studio, but at the same time you can see it like making like patches and just sharing and with somebody they just barely started, so that I think like that's a cool part about it.
Speaking on the hierarchies of like, in the art world, how do you guys see yourself maneuvering through that, I don't know, politics or just kind of the
different communities.
Different communities, maybe like find out, like classes, and how do you feel about that? Or where do you see yourself maneuvering with that, through that?
I think it's myself. It's just like it's just something that a practice it has to be doing like mostly day by day, and just be involved with my work and trying to like expand more my voice and try to like to go to that place that I'm thinking or I'm feeling it. And like everything that will comes after is just like just a run into it, and because at the same time it's just like try to like see how like I'm expanding like printmaking, and what are the other areas that I'm just gonna be like hanging out at the same time. So it's just like that's how I see it, because there's times that I can just like be working in the studio, but at the same time there's other times that I'm just gonna be involved in a demo or like a workshop. So it's like that, I guess that always keeps me like kind of busy in my head, so I just have to at the end like go back and just make work and try to see what else I can just find it.
See more.
I'm addicted to printmaking, so I'm trying to be in the studio all the time. That's the main thing to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why.
It's addictive.
Yes, it's very addictive. So once in a while I'll go outside and then kind of trying to sell stuff or teach some workshops and stuff like that.
Because even too like when we were Victor and I were talking about like screen print, there's like even some techniques that still you have to like kind of like get into it to have like more like the knowledge. And from that it's like okay, it's another outlet that probably you're gonna find out in a you're gonna find out the outlet for like an X project that you're gonna be doing like in the near future. So it's always like kind of like okay, cool, you're gonna be doing something else, and like it keeps it like refreshing. I don't know. Yeah. And that's why I also always like it's like addictive. Every time you're gonna pull out a print, it's everybody's like wow, even the first time, and it never gets old. So that's the fun part about it.
One of the things, and you both sort of touched on this in some ways, one of the things that at Altura we like to really emphasize is community, working class community. I think based on what some of the things you've been sharing, community and sort of the places maybe you all were first exposed to printmaking have nurtured your love for printmaking, be it through people that taught you, outside of school mostly. Can you talk a little bit about those communities that nurtured you in your printmaking sort of ambitions?
In one sense, I mean,
just what type of people encouraged you or gave you the space or taught you to make those mistakes and make the work that you make? I feel like printmaking has a lot of ties to community through schools or not necessarily schools, but talleres. things like that are often offered all over the place in different community spaces like self-help graphics, or where they have free printmaking classes or things of that nature, or even going back to like a music scene, the punk scene, people were making DIY t-shirts, and there's always friends that teach you how to do all of that stuff. I think those communities are really important to sort of our identity as Altura, but also just to printmaking in general. That's my perspective. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe some of those experiences with the communities that nurtured you?
Yeah, I think some other talleres, I knew them because they came to Self-Help Graphics and they come with their own technical stuff. And then you meet people that are really, really good at it, And then some of them, for example, they use like really cheap materials, but the skill is amazing. And then because before you used to think like, I had to buy, this expensive tool or whatever. And then when you see this guy making this amazing print, and then you look at every detail, it's very clean, very sharp. And they did it with speedball tools, which is really cheap, And then you're like, wow, that kind of stuff. And so you meet people, from other studios and other states that come there and then show you their own skills and stuff, and you kind of like get impressed and you try to find out how to do it yourself,
Yeah, because for example, to me, it's like when they give you a chance to like perform, or like you don't know anything about it, and you're like, I'm gonna fuck it up, There's like, I'll do it, it's so cool. So it was like to learn in places that we almost like burn a studio, but it was like we managed that. So it's like, and there was like or like friend who's like had like el asesor del grupo said like, you learn about the mistakes that I'm doing. I was like, okay, cool, So it's like printmaking feel like it's like not a lineal. So like Viktor said, there's an artist that can do something with this the most like inexpensive like speedball like cutting tool, and it works fine. Then somebody that can just do the most expensive, and it's like it's not working. So there's no always like this is the way that you have to do it. It's the way that it's gonna fit to you, and that you feel it's like it's developing your voice. So that's the cool part about it. And there's like gonna be all the people that's gonna be super technical about like, this is how you have to wear, this is how you have to cut, this is so it's kind of like a world that you can like, it's always like a fit for anybody, and even is in the same area or discipline. So it's a cool part.
Yeah, I think those communities are important, like how Diego was talking about, because you guys are doing lino cuts and wood cuts, and not everyone has a press. The community is smaller because it's expensive and it's heavy, and you need the space to have that. So what are some of the communities? I know you're originally from Oaxaca. Victor, I don't know, are you originally?
No, I'm from Veracruz.
Okay, yeah. Veracruz, and you now in LA. So how do you feel the communities have differed from like Oaxaca, or I don't know if you had any experiences in Veracruz with printmaking, and then compared to here?
Well, I grew up in a place where we didn't have art. The only art that I saw was the sculpture from the church. They were beautiful. So when I came here, what happened is I quit school in Mexico because I didn't like school and I didn't know what I want to do, because I do like a lot of stuff. And so when I came here, I used to have this roommate, and he told me about Self-Help Graphics, and I went over there, and that's how I got into printmaking. And then from that I just started like develop sort of like my style, and then everything started happening. And I was very curious about how far I can take printmaking. At the beginning I met this friend of mine from Colombia, and we started putting sounds to the prints. I did like a little installations, and then we put sounds to it. And then I was we were interested in sounds because we were talking about how sounds affects emotions, and also of course sounds also can kill you. And so we were exploring all that stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, for example, to me the experience in Oaxaca, I got spoiled because there was a press. Anybody can have a press, you know. There was an access for a press. And getting here, there was no access for the press. Everything. If there was a press, it was like a museum, and they have like rigid hours. And over there, we were using like aguarrás and cualquier solvente. And aquí era como, oh, we have to do like everything like water based, and you barely like open up an aguarrás, and everybody's like, oh my god, freaking out. So like, oh my god, what's this, you know? So it was like it was a lot of like adapting, and I didn't have a press, and I was like getting more into it because at the same time it was a way to kind of like conectarme con la comunidad y conocer más sobre especialmente la comunidad migrante. Y printmaking has the outlet about like talking about like social content, and even in your work, or you can even like be involved in a workshop about it. So para mí eso era importante porque muchas de las imágenes que a mí me interesan nacieron de ahí. So I was like, and even in Oaxaca, it's like es algo que viene con el territorio. So después comencé a trabajar y I was just doing everything with a little press, and I make it work. And cada vez que alguien me veía mi trabajo me decía, oh, estás haciendo bien, so I can give you a chance to work in a press or studio. And así hasta que después I made a friend from El Paso, and they invited me to the portfolio, and they asked me if I need a press or something. I said like, yeah, but it's hard to get an access. So they gave me a press to like print it. So with that too, like with that same spirit, it's like if there's somebody like I know a friend like needs a press, it's like yeah, just the press, you know, because that's kind of like la camaradería que puedes encontrar en el grabado, and it's like it's cool, you know, you just pass it along.
There's a network of presses throughout.
Yeah.
You know, different universities. I went to Long Beach State, and their print department was amazing. I took a lot of printmaking there, and I know how difficult it is to find, you know, presses.
Yeah. Then and for example, even when I know students, they were just like hanging out, and they told me sometimes they're like, the only students like working in the print studio. And I was like, that's amazing because yeah, there's no many, and it's cool because you can appreciate it to like the need, you know, and you don't have to be a gatekeeper. You have to just pass it around, you know. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about like your immigrant experience. I know a little bit of what you already talked about was that with regards to printmaking, but in general, I think it can be a very impactful experience for people to come to the U.S. and work here, and even just get food on the table and a place to live. Has that been an impactful experience for you, and how has it, if at all, impacted sort of the way you make art and the way you have found yourself in the art scene today?
Yeah, especially as an artist, right? I mean, it's hard as it is, but as an artist, it's even like harder. I'm sure.
It's been a learning process because I mean, at the same time es muy generoso la disciplina del grabado, and it opened you like areas like it's a way that you can just you move around, and at the same time that you're moving around, you have to bring your friends, you know, or you're like tus camaradas, any project, you know, because I mean that's what it is for, you know. It's a rigid game, so you kind of have to squeeze your people there just to make it a little bit like even, I guess. But it's always like a learning process, like learning process just to learn like how like to get involved with other communities, especially here in Los Angeles. It's been really interesting since I've been like in different areas in Southern California, but this is the first time that I'm more like involved like in Los Angeles. And like same like how I see it in Viktor, like he's been like in self-graphics, and it's like a way to like, okay, cool, I can find a place that I can just like get involved there. It's not easy as sometimes people think that especially printmaking in Los Angeles, there's not many like places that can just like welcome you to like to expand your work, or you know, just to keep going like self-graphics.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, you know, especially when you move to one place to another place, you know. I think from childhood I always have this way of thinking of exploring. So when I moved over here, it was kind of like that. And we came with some friends, and we were homeless for a little bit. We were stealing food from the trucks. Because at that time, we remember that they didn't charge you right away. They just give you the food, you know, and then they tell you like, oh, ahí me pagas cuando terminen. But we used to wait until like a lot of people would come in, you know, and because we didn't have money. And then later on we learned that there was a mission, and they give you actually good food. So anyhow, so it's very interesting, the whole thing, you know. Then you learn for other people it's really hard, you know, and you start kind of question the whole thing, you know, because we're kind of like very selfish humans. That's why we say this is my country, you know, or my property and things like that, you know. And so all that expands and it creates all these problems. So I guess from when I started looking at printmaking, I always was interested in more deep questions. And I started looking into, I think for 1 year I was reading a lot. Kind of read all the religion books, and then I moved into philosophy, and then I moved into psychology, that kind of stuff. And because I was kind of questioning why we behave the way we behave, you know. And so, yeah, I met a lot of people from different countries, which we become really good friends. And also, like, I have appreciation for other cultures too. But also, I think you start seeing like also problems between us, you know. So one of the things that I try to do is, when I have a chance, is have a good relationship with someone, you know, and talk about these issues and see if we can. It's really hard to find solution, but at least we can talk about it, you know, and that sort of things. So printmaking helps a lot in that area, because you can give a print to somebody, you know, or donate print to an institution to create money to help someone, that kind of stuff.
Do you guys feel like a lot of these homegrown galleries, like, you know, like Altura, Tlaloc is another kind of homegrown, you know, black and brown neighborhoods, are kind of picking up where the status quo galleries aren't really not looking out for artists, but like kind of not like being there for artists? I don't know if I'm asking that right, but
the gallery business is a little bit complex, you know. I think one of the things that I've been talking to some other friends is that we don't have a Chicano art dealer. We always depend with usually a white person, you know, because they're the one that has the connections. They just started with the whole business, you know. Yeah, so we we don't have that, you know, and we should have that, because then you can build a business, because in itself it's a business, you know. and now they charge you 50%. Before was I think 30 or 20. Now it's 50, so it's 50 of your money,
Of your work, of your labor.
your labor and all that stuff, you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty standard now.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it's everywhere now.
We have Cheech though.
Yeah, but
I haven't been. Have you guys been to the Cheech?
I have not.
Yeah.
I want to go.
I want to go to.
Riverside.
Yes, Riverside.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've been there.
Have to go.
Let's road trip. Pavel.
Yeah. Yeah, Riverside. Yeah, I've been there. I have like 3 pieces in the show.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Really?
Definitely.
Yeah.
gotta go down.
in the show. So yeah, I mean, it's good because it like brings more attention. I don't know, like sometimes how like attention has like 2 sides, right? Like could be like positive and negative. But I mean, there's always like the saying like sometimes why if it's really important to have galleries right now. Even a lot of artists, they handle their own business by just having social media sometimes. I mean, there's many outlets, you know. Gallery is one, but it's not just the only one. It can fit you, you know. It just depends like what do you want, right? Because sometimes some artists I know them and they just make their living by doing illustrations for what they really would like, you know. So a gallery sometimes is an option for them. Or even some other artists, they're in a good galleries, but at the same time they're teachers. So it's I don't think it's a goal. No es una catedral, see, but it's just and right now probably the conversations even like change because even I mean you have your space at Altura. There's like it's not in the arts district. It brings like different crowd. It's still like it's great, you know. You don't have to have like the white cube to have your show, you know. I mean, even like sometimes you go to a show like at Tlaloc and it's una fiesta, you know. There's not like uptight, and it's cool, you know. Could bring bring a big amount of people. Even I seen like print fairs. They just like in a garage in el patio. They have a line, 2 block lines. So it's like it's whatever it fits you, you know. And there's even other like places they're more like uptight with the like print their print sales or like print fairs. There's like barely somebody goes there just to see it, you know. So whatever. I mean, sometimes we have to be like selling on the sidewalk, you know, or art, and it's fine, you know. Sometimes we're like in a nice gallery and like, oh damn, so it's cool.
And
Whatever
I mean,
fits you.
there's a lot of people that do that. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
You know, people are out there hustling, and I mean, I respect the people that go out there and put it. You know, they're looking for work. They're working, and hey, you know, respect. Social media. I mean, you brought it up. How do you guys feel about social media? Like you said, using it kind of as, you know, a lot of people use it to pretty much brand themselves. You know, to put their work out, to have people, you know, look at what they're producing. You as a printmaker, you're in the studio a lot. I'm sure you're probably posting a lot of the new prints that you're doing on the daily. Do you think it's a good thing? Or, I mean, I know everything has its bad side, but what are you guys' experiences as far as with social media? I mean, are people sending you DMs, like asking you that they want to print, or how has that been working for you?
I mean, yeah, it's another outlet like everything that exists in like any other like art discipline. And I mean, sometimes I mean mostly in this table when we start doing what we like, we have to do it like and share it with whoever was hanging out with us, you know. So like the need of approbation was like very limited. I think if we have like a friend say, oh, that's cool, man, that's like that mean everything, you know. And sometimes I feel like a little bit like it's hard for younger generations or like friends they only do like they want to just do it only for the approbation that comes from that, because it's like there are many layers on it of filters. So I think it's a tool, and you can meet a lot of. I have met a lot of like friends through social media and share like the art and techniques with them, and it helps it to expand, and it helps like to bring food to the table, and just to pass it out, and at the same time, like the same that comes to you, like you kind of have to pass it to other ones. So just like it's just like running the network. That's what I see.
I follow a lot of people because I like a lot of stuff, but mostly I'm not really good into the business thing. I think I'm addicted to just follow people, because
because social media. I mean, you don't have to just use it for that. There's people that just follow the things that they're interested in. Like you make it what you want,
Yeah, because also there's so many interesting stuff, like they give me access to like see, for example, different architects and what they're doing these days, or in the area of science, because also like science a lot, but also I look some art too, mostly architecture and science, archaeology, that sort of thing. Fashion too, because after all, it's interesting to see now how technology is creating fashion, that kind of stuff. Music, I'm addicted to music, and once in a while I look at the printmakers.
So you're more of a follower on Instagram as opposed to like posting.
I do post stuff, but
or trying to brand yourself like on your page, as
I think no, I don't do it that much in that way. I think the way my brain thinks is that I want to hear everything and I want to see everything before I expire. So I'm a fan, for example, of electronic music, but I cannot hear electronic music the whole day. I have to hear different types of music, and the same thing with art, I do like some artists a lot, but I have to see what's new, what is all these people are doing these days, and what kind of technology they're using for those things,
Yeah, we've been talking about like having some kind of printmaking for quite some time, and
right now that you said like a big print fair, that sounds like something that would be awesome for us to do, and we would love to have you be a part of that at some point. Maybe we can talk about that down the line, but
I always bring like cool like characters the printmaking fairs. It's always like cool characters
on top of the awesome work from you, Pavel, Victor. Like, I was excited to meet another Acevedo. I'm an Acevedo.
There's no many here,
There's not many here, so
there's no many here.
His last name is Acevedo. Hell yeah.
Primo.
I thought when you say that, I was like, oh, he's joking or what?
No,
really.
Like, I was really excited. Hell yeah, I want to meet this guy.
Is there anything that you feel that's important for people to know about you, and as opposed to just seeing your work, someone that might not know anything about you, what's something that you would want them to know about you?
I'm not really interested in they know about me. I'm more interested in
You sound really interesting to you.
No, I'm more interested in they can be able to see my work, because it's kind of interesting when like people come into the studio and they bring their own image in their head and they kind of put it in front of my image, so they don't see my image anymore. What they see is what they have in their head.
Right.
Or so I think I think that's the main thing to me. The I want them to see them because it's even it's a little bit dark. It's beautiful, especially because of the textures and stuff that I do in my pieces, or the mistakes they have in them, Yeah.
I think like just come out to any event if you can. Just come and ask whatever. It's always like fun to to talk and hear like somebody else perspective. For example, when it was like the residents in Soulful Graphics, they were having the open studios, so it was a interesting way to talk with people about like the work and the process and what they were like expecting or what their experience. So it wasn't just like myself in my head all the time. So and that always like brings like good like more like fresh eyes to the work. So yeah, I think that's a good way. And yeah, asking, hanging out, like saying hi, that's a good way to meet.
Yeah, I definitely felt that when I talked to both of you. You both are willing to share your experiences and your knowledge, and that's something I like about printmaking. Going back to that, you know, people are open to share and talk. It's a very human sort of technique in the art world. I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it is fun to teach, you know, especially what I notice, like a lot of people don't like too much to carve like linoleum sometimes because it gets really hard. So you're trying to figure out how to teach them something that is easy for them, you know. And then at the end, they look at the image and they're all like with a big smile and stuff, you know. Especially because they can do it at home. Because I'm trying to teach them something that you don't need a press, but you can do it at home and you can get a good quality print, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, I teach you to like give a bad news with a good feeling. Yeah, and too like a teacher. She's a printmaker, and she always was like, don't ever say like it's coming good. Don't say that, because if you said it's gonna come good, it's gonna come bad. And I was like, all right, so kind of have to be like, she's like, we have to be grounded. And I'm like, all right, cool. So we just have to be like chill. And there was other stories about like another printmaker that before was a soldier, and I heard like a lot of artists that when they were helping him in the studio said it was rigid, man. So like he makes you do push-ups before like printing. And there was all this like stories about like different printmakers. I'm like, damn, that's cool. It's fun.
At what age did you guys start printmaking, and who were like some of the artists that you guys looked up to, respected?
I was already old.
What's old?
Yeah, old man. What happened is that I went to Selfie Graphics because I had this roommate, and he told me about Selfie Graphics. It took me 2 years to get there, and then I got there late. They were having a workshop, and the teacher was Polly Marichal, and I think they were like having 2 days left when I got there, and so I took the class, and then she was showing me the process, and then I always say that something clicked on me when she showed me the print, and then so I came back, and then she kind of started teaching me more. And then we become good friends, and she helped me a lot. And she's from Puerto Rico. She's incredible, talented person. So then from there, I started just doing stuff.
Was she like a mentor to you?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I got my introduction to printmaking by hanging out with a friend who used to do like bootleg t-shirts, screen printing bootleg t-shirts of I grew up in a small like pueblo in la costa del Pacífico de Oaxaca. So he used to like do bootleg of Quicksilver, Billabong, Rusty, and sell it, you know. And I was like, oh, that's cool. He used to do everything, stickers, and later on I used to go and hang out, help him. And later on I was 19 when I went to 19 when I went to el taller de Rufino Tamayo en la ciudad de Oaxaca.
Oh, wow.
y estaba los talleres de pintura, litografía, escultura y cerámica. Y en el de litografía era, pues todos teníamos como la misma edad y pues era como la educación en el Rufino Tamayo era como libre, no había como una estructura de un maestro o así se pinta. Entonces comenzamos a hacer la litografía porque era dibujar sobre una piedra de mármol y I just started like drawing before like painting, so I felt comfortable. But at the same time, like knowing like a technique and about lithography, and like at the same time, it was like learning with some other people that didn't know anything, but later seeing like artists that were like really good. So I think there was like we all can hang out in the same room, you know, and say, hey, what's up? And they're all cool about it. And el artista de Oaxaca que ha influido mucho ha sido Francisco Toledo. Y cuando él creó muchos espacios culturales en la ciudad de Oaxaca. No iba a la escuela, entonces iba a una biblioteca que él creó, el Instituto de Artes Gráficas de Oaxaca. So it was like being in the studio and going to the library just to learn, you know. Algún amigo te decía, check this art, es como la música, ¿no? Escucha esto, vas y escuchas más, buscas más, encuentras más. So así fue, poco a poco fue como iba creciendo el gusto por el grabado.
So one of the things about printmaking is the idea of multiples, where you can essentially make a ton of, you know, one type of print or one type of technique or one image. What are your thoughts on sort of like the numbers? You know, what are you comfortable with? How many editions do you do? Do you do 50, 100, 1,000, depending? What are your thoughts? What are your what sort of do you subscribe to when it comes to how many of one edition are you going to do? How many of one image are you going to print?
I'm not really good at following like rules. So what happened is that I just don't like to make so many. Because what happened is that I produce a lot of images really easy. It's really easy for me to do that. And I get bored if I have to do a lot of them, you know. I did it, I think, probably once. And it was a waste of time.
What was the biggest edition that you did?
I think it was 30. Yeah. Only if you had to do like a portfolio, which involves like a bunch of different artists, then I've been forced to do it, you know. But it's just fun because you share your prints with other people, you know, which is really cool. But if I do something for myself, I just do one. Or right now I've been doing probably 6 or 7. And like I said, sometimes I just like do a test and I just wait, I don't know how long. and then work on the plate again and I print it. You know, I have pieces that I haven't finished. I think it's been there for like 7 years now. I haven't finished them. So yeah, it's a little bit weird with me.
That's good. Eh?
I like to keep it like small, but I have done like 60 edition of 60 for a portfolio, and it was 2 images, so it became to 150 probably or 30, and I was like, no, again. No. So 20 is good. I like 20. I like 20 like APs, and it's funny because sometimes there's somebody wants to buy a print, but this is an original. I say yes, it's a copy of an original. And you feel like weird saying that, but I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm like, I mean, it's actually an original, you know. But that's a part of this stressing out because some people, they're like, oh, you kind of like, they have to be so rigid, you know. And sometimes it's like, that's when like, I don't know, it doesn't feel fun. And I like to see Viktor's work because there's like one of one, and it's like, oh, cool, you know, you can enjoy it, you know. I like the enjoyment to see his work, and I don't have to think about other people that get to like heavy on printmaking. It seems boring when it comes to that part. but it's understandable, and that's why too. I mean, I don't consider myself as like a printer or impressor. I just like have to learn to do this by myself. So otherwise, if I have to be rigid, I will hire somebody that will just only prints. And there's like people that only prints for people. They don't do art. They just print and they're like perfect because that's their job, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Victor said, he only one and sometimes he gets bored. And I seen like plates that's been there for I don't know how long. So and that's the other way. In other words, I have printed like 300 for. I was printing a cover for a hardcore band. So I was screen printing in lino block. I print directly to the cover. So it was like probably we did like 400 like records. So so it was like I was like, damn, that's crazy. But I learned, sometimes I just have to like be chill. But it was fun too because I did like the band a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much.
But it also depends on the technique, because if you're like screen printing, it's easier to do 60 than if you're doing 60 lino or woodcuts, where you gotta roll on the ink and the wood's absorbing it. It takes you a while to get it going good. Yeah,
and even for example, there's other printmakers that are like nuts. And I mean, in a good way, they do like etchings, and they do like crazy numbers, and they do like some kind of like techniques that are like, no, dude, I don't do that stuff,
It's too much. Chinkole.
Yeah, or they're like a la poupée, or I don't know, they put like a little bit of color in there, and I was like, no, it's kind of like drugs, you know until what drug you go. I don't go there, I don't cross the line, man.
Yeah, it's fun to like break the rules a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I had to learn with time. Is,
yeah.
You go to school, you learn the proper way, the proper technique, and then once you get out of school, you just want to like forget everything and just do your own thing, right? So that's pretty interesting that you're doing some one-of-ones.
Yeah, I mean, the excuse is that I didn't went to school, so I don't know. So then I can do whatever I want, I mean,
school has its pros and cons, obviously.
I think school is great because the technical aspect of it, like at the beginning I didn't know how to draw that well, I still don't know how to draw, but I'm getting better and better. It's just I remember saying to myself, well, if they can recognize it, then it's cool,
Yeah, but there's also, if you draw every day, you're gonna get better no matter what.
No, yeah, I actually.
Depends how you want to draw, I guess.
No, actually, I do every day. I draw a lot. But the thing is, like, I should do more technical stuff so I can get better at it instead of going to like Kukuru land where I do all this crazy stuff and then I don't know what it is, but then it's cool later on. And then when I don't have ideas, I just go to my notebooks and I see, okay, so this can be for a shirt, or something like that.
Yeah.
But I should do more technical stuff, which is, what give you skills.
You just, now YouTube, that's all you need.
Yeah, you have all the stuff,
Yeah,
but still, you have to do it.
Yeah.
Because you cannot just watch that and, I'm good now.
Yeah, but it's also having the resources and the space, depending on what type of printmaking, not everyone can be a printmaker if they don't have the resources.
Yeah.
You could screen print, and there's ways of doing things at home with a spoon on the paper. But definitely, if you're getting into bigger work, more serious work, you definitely need the space and the right.
And you have
presses.
to look for other tools too. That's a way that it's true that you're mentioning, because there's sometimes you can start certain tools not gonna give you that much that you're looking for. You're voice,
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
No, I think you're right. But also it depends on your limitation, because one time this guy came to Software Graphics and he wants to print this huge plate in 2 colors. And I didn't fit into the press, so we did it on the floor. And actually come up much better, we did it by hand. It was 2 colors. So that was super cool, But I think if you look at the prints from the old master from Japanese, they were experimenting a lot, and all they did it by hand. and also in some of them in China too. Like they used to have also by hand. A lot of them they were using the. So it depends. It depends on you. What is your limitations?
I want to bring it back a little bit to the show. I, for one, personally was super excited when Summer kind of told me the concept and what she was looking to do to have printmaking at Altura. It was something that we hadn't done yet, but myself as well as Eduardo Gomez, we have experience in printmaking. We used to have a little t-shirt brand.
Oh, cool.
15 and maybe almost 20 years ago. And yeah, I would go to whether he was at Cal State Long Beach, I would go to the print studio and hang out with him and, just watch and help sometimes. And I have like a love for printmaking that I hope to maybe someday sort of concentrate on and maybe make some mistakes of my own. But I was really excited to have you guys and seeing the way the show came together, the way Summer tied everything together with you guys. And you guys really have an awesome perspective in printmaking. I think going back to a little bit about social media, I think social media can be tricky sometimes because it's a lot of driven by trends. And you maybe have to do that sometimes, but I think what I see in your work, the both of you, it goes beyond that. And it's a really beautiful way that you have both expressed yourselves from what I've seen, and now like I'm fans of both of you. Now I want to see more, so I'll definitely be popping into a lot of your shows hopefully in the future. But yeah, thank you guys for being a part of it. I think Summer did a great job tying it all together.
Cool, thank you, man. Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
For me, this is one question because I think you made an original piece, right? Because Summer kind of sort of went through your collection, was like, I have the show, I have this idea for duality, and let's throw your stuff on the wall, please. It fits, but I think there's some original piece. There's an unoriginal piece in there. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Can you elaborate on
the
that?
Large.
Because it's a big piece, dude.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that this is the actually first large piece that I did by myself, and I was experimenting with acrylics, and also the piece in itself has fabric, and it has dry flowers, and it has tea bags and paper and stuff like that, and also has a print. And the idea was to have a naked person and have one face, which comes from a picture that I saw was happening right now in with Russia. And there was this guy who I guess bombs exploded next to his house or something, and had like really damaged his face. And the other part has it says empty, because to me the only way you can see beauty is when your mind is completely empty. Because if you have the concept of beauty, then you have likes and dislikes, so you're not capable to see actually beauty as it is, And the other one is showing you the fear, because usually fear creates also violence, So that was the idea.
It's a good piece. It's beautiful. It's massive. It's like 7 feet ish, right? 7 to 8 feet.
Like that.
Yeah, Summer trying to install that was pretty interesting. That was pretty cool. Pavel, why you slack? Where's the new stuff? Oh, it's at the Cheech. Our bad. It's at the Cheech. Sorry, it's at the Cheech. Okay, so yeah, you're good. That's awesome. But no, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time and just being patient with us and letting me switch tables because everything's creaky here.
No, it's cool.
But no, thank you so much. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you to Summer Bernal for bringing in 3 amazing artists together. We appreciate you so much. And we're looking forward to the closing and then the future of you two and Sec as well, and everything else that comes out of Altura. So thank you guys very much.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for joining us for the Altura podcast. We look forward to opening the mic to our friends and the community here in Nela. If you enjoyed the show, please tap that subscribe and like button. Without your time and support, we wouldn't be here. So please leave comments and slide into the DMs so we can evolve this program for you, our listeners. Feel free to connect with us beyond the pod on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Once again, gracias.